Hi everyone, I'm Catherine, and today I have an update and a final video about my 100 days of laser cutting. So the past 6 months I've been working on my 100-day project. I did the first chunk from April until about the end of May, and then I came back from a vacation and my laser cutter broke and I had to troubleshoot it for a while, and then I had to wait to get a replacement, and then I finally got to finish my 100-day project starting in like August. So I thought I would give you an update and show you all of the 100 things that I have created for that project. I'm really proud of this project because I was able to kind of start in a very simple way. I was creating very geometric patterns for jewelry, some modular pieces, some more like visually designed pieces like the flames and stuff. And then somewhere about halfway through this project, I found my stride in the abstract geometric pieces and some more of those abstract pieces here. And then towards the end, really found my voice and what kind of jewelry I want to make by combining both the geometric acrylic pieces with a more organic piece of wood. So I'm really happy with where that took me for this project. I couldn't have seen where that was going from the beginning of the project. I just wanted to have an opportunity to experiment and try out some new things and play with my Dremel laser cutter. So now that I've really gotten comfortable with what the different materials can do, I've been able to kind of push them to their max. So I will talk through each one of these sets. I designed my project in sets of 3, so it would show up on Instagram really well. You can go to my Instagram, Catherine Makes, in order to see all of the photos in order of how I posted them. But if you don't want to go over there, I'm just going to talk through all of the different designs and what I was thinking about and what inspired the specific ones, and how I went from a really simple leaf design out of the walnut all the way to the super complex, what I absolutely love, the acrylic with the wood and the different like special acrylics interplaying with each other in this more complex statement piece of jewelry. And along the way, I had some experiments that I didn't care for as much, and I'll talk through that. And I had some experiments that I really loved, like the painting pieces with the painting on the acrylic to get some of the details to pop out. So let's talk about all of the pieces along the way, and I'll take you through the whole project. I began with a pretty simple design of these leaf pendants, and then tried to design what I would do with those extra pieces that came from it. So you'll notice along the way through this whole project, I was trying to design and create out of the negative spaces as well, so I could really utilize all my material. My second set of 3 had these dangly pieces. This was my first foray into having the acrylic within the wood, and I really like how especially this one looks. It looks very blue on the video, but it's a brilliant turquoise color, and that's like one of my favorite colors. I did some coasters, which I gifted, so I don't have them. I created dinosaur and Loch Ness Monster pendants next. And those, what I learned from that is that I need to really prototype and balance those shapes out so that they lay better. So coming all the way over here, these are some of my favorite earrings. I wear these all the time. I love the contrast of the plywood and the walnut. So those, I engraved it low enough so that the plywood pieces kind of pop out, and the same with these circle ones. Then I did the opposite of those. So when I cut either one of these out, I actually get 2 necklaces out of it, because I can have the inner piece that is used for here and the outer piece is used here. So that really doubles up what I can do with these materials. So trying to think of smart ways to use the materials so that I don't waste any. I also had 3 sets of earrings. I'm wearing one of them. Here you go. This is one of my favorite pairs of earrings right now. It's the frosted acrylic from Dremel, and then a like partially translucent gray acrylic, and I really love that. I also have kind of the peacock feather and the clear with the colored on the inside, so I thought that was really fun. I then had these pendants, so starting to play with some of the geometric shapes and how the acrylic interacts with the wood. So I had these wood hanging pieces. I wasn't the happiest with these 3. I would probably do another round if I was going to try to sell these, but out of the 3, I really like the square one the best and the triangle the second best. This was not my favorite. I just don't like how it plays. The next 3 were this kind of retro, mid-century modern feel. So these nebulous shapes with the organic shaped acrylic pieces on the inside. I wear this one and this one all the time. I love these 2. They go with all my outfits and they hang really well on my t-shirts. So these 3 have been, I just love them. Okay, all the way back over here. These set of 3 were inspired by more of a Frank Lloyd Wright, like grid style. So usually Frank Lloyd Wright worked with different kinds of geometric shapes. You would see more circles with it as well, but I was playing with a little bit more simplified to see how it would look in the walnut. Out of these 3, I think this one is the most successful. I really enjoyed this as a pendant shape. These are a little bit less so, but I think that they were an interesting experiment. Next up, I created a little bit more of a modular pattern. So I drew these shapes up in Illustrator and then I cut them out of different materials. So I have 3 shapes, this one with the 3 holes, the half circle, and then the rectangle with 4 holes. And that allowed me to play with the different configurations so I can make the pendant. And for the photo, you'll notice in Instagram, I actually strung the chain all the way through these circles so that there's a line of chain here, and I really liked that. And then for the larger one, I just took this size and blew it up to slightly larger and created a U as well. I wear these earrings all the time. These are also a favorite of mine, but it's mostly because of that color. So I have that clear turquoise with the dark walnut, and it looks really nice. So you'll notice I played with that a bit more throughout the rest of the project. The next 3, I created these because my work office was having a competition, kind of like a Ren Fair style. So I was dressed up like a dragon. I laser cut this pendant piece for my dragon costume, and then I had 1 earring of each of these. You'll see in my Instagram that I kind of photoshopped it. So I had 2 of these flames and 2 of the shields for the actual project, but I actually only had 1. Shh, don't tell anyone. But what was really fun about this is that it allowed me to play with that dangling piece. So you'll see all 3 of these dangle. And so that really had a dynamic play to it as fire, and that was a lot of fun. And this is actually our logo for the company I work for. The next 3 start getting into a little bit more of the geometric design that I created through this project and through this process. So by playing with the designs, I was able to create this more like detailed, beautiful geometric pattern. So you can see how simple this one is. And this is also the mint green acrylic, which is okay. It's not my favorite color, but it looks quite nice in combination with other things. I created a pair of earrings, and these are the same shape for the 2 earrings, and they're quite complicated. Those are really fun to wear. Everyone always really notices. And then this is that dark turquoise that I really love. And this is where I started finding that like this thinner, you'll notice that it's a thinner line than this is. And then those details of the extra lines in here and the balance of the whole composition. And this is where I started to find my stride with those geometric designs. and really started playing with that later on. And you'll definitely notice this kind of style later in those combinations of organic and geometric. I took a little break from the more complex designs for the next few. These are some modular patterns. So this is the same Illustrator file, and then I just cut it out of the different acrylics. So these three are using the frosted acrylic on the top, and then a colored acrylic on the bottom. And then I've hung them perfectly with those links in order to have them hang and move just a little bit. So I really like those three. And then I took that same kind of design, and that's actually the same shape as this half circle, but now I've combined it in a different way. So I've cut those half circles out, and I've cut that middle piece that I used previously in order to create these earrings. And this was a really fun experiment with the materials because I was able to play with putting some wood in, doing the frosted acrylic, and then the solid colored acrylic. Actually, this is that really nice semi-transparent gray. So I'm playing with different transparencies of the acrylic in order to create a more dynamic design. And then for these two, I started playing more with this pearlescent, and you'll see later, I love this pearlescent acrylic. It's really nice, and it gives just enough without being too glittery. So I wear these quite a bit too. They match a lot of different outfits. On a completely different design, the next three I did, these are cut out of book cover. So this was a really thick paper, and it took, I think, 4 or 5 passes on my laser cutter to cut all the way through because it's really hard. And that took a bit of experimenting to find that right setting so that when I cut these 3 out, it actually cut out and it didn't get too singed. So the way that I actually hang these 3 pendants is by looping the chain through it, and that allows me to do it without having to have a hole in it. And it looks really nice on these and the other book covers that I did later on. The next 3, I played a little bit with the vector cutting. So these don't actually have any engraving on it, but the lines are all cut all the way through. So you can kind of see through those holes like that. That looks really cool. So this one I wear all the time. It's a perfect length. It hangs just below my collarbone, and I really enjoy this one. The other 2, I really like this one as well. So it's hard not to wear all this jewelry. I've got so many options now, but these 3 were really fun and kind of unique out of the rest of the designs that I did. The next thing I did was playing with kind of like a bunting design. So you'll notice all of these are the same Illustrator file, except this one has an extra hole in the top. And then I just cut out different ones from the different materials. So once again, playing with the acrylics. So I had some clear and some solid opaque. And then pairing the different acrylics with the wood was really nice. So I love the earrings. The earrings are super fun. And then the necklaces I've worn once or twice. I just don't have a whole lot of yellow in my wardrobe. So it was a fun way to pop that up and to have a kind of a bright statement with those. The next 3, these are designs that I have had for a while and translated into laser cutting files. So if you haven't been to my Etsy shop, I sell a series of super corgi stickers and magnets and pins and buttons, all sorts of stuff. And these are original drawings that I did. I have a corgi dog, and so I turned him into Thor. So this is Thorgy. And then I have Spider Corgi and Captain America Corgi. And so these I turned into pendants. As part of this process, I was learning how thin I can get the wood. So see how thin that is? That probably won't hold up very long. And as a matter of fact, for Captain Americorg, notice how that actually broke all the way through. So this is a little bit of a learning process for me, and then also learning how deep I can engrave it. And the next time I cut these out, I'm gonna do the masking tape trick, and I'll have a whole separate video about that. So I'll talk about that later. But these 3 are designs that I've done and that I sell in my Etsy shop. Keeping on the nerd design track, I did a series of 3 Pokemon themed designs. So I have, oh gosh, I always forget. It's either Starmie or Staryu. But I engraved a little bit on the walnut, and then I hung the middle acrylic piece. This actually looks very nice in person. So it's like a classy nerd kind of style here. Same with my Pokeball design. So I have the clear red acrylic, and then I have that frosted white, and it hangs so it has a nice movement to it. And then I also have Pikachu. So I do this from scratch, and you'll see the engraving for the eyes and the mouth, super cute. The cheeks are cut out, and the arms are cut out, and feet and everything. It's a little bit subtle, so if I do this again in the future, I would probably find a way to make it more pop out for the eyes and the mouth. But Pikachu is so cute. Next up is the second set of the book covers. So this is a book cloth covered. It's a really fun material. So same as the previous ones, I just looped the chain around it, and that allowed me to kind of play with that shape and how it was hanging. The next 3, I wanted to play with layers of the plywood. So this is 2 layers of plywood, 1 of birch behind, and I did a little bit of just vector lines on it, and then a piece of the walnut on top of it. Same with these earrings. You'll see some of that vector lines on it in addition to the 2 layers. And then I also did a pendant. For this, what I learned is that 2 layers of 1/8" thick plywood is too thick. The pendant isn't bad. Like, the pendant would work out pretty well. For earrings, it hangs a little bit weirdly. So what I would rather do is get some veneer and then put a piece of veneer on top of the wood, which I got some veneer from Amazon. So I'm going to be playing with that, and I'll share that in a later video as well. Okay, the next ones are starting to get more into that geometric shape play. So I did some with squares, hexagons, and circles. I gotta say, I really like the circle one and the hexagon one. The square one's pretty nice too, but these 2 really have a nice play to them. The circle one is it's really fun. It kind of looks like an eye in this middle piece. I didn't even mean that to happen. It was just through intuitive play and design that did happen. So those then led to the next 3. So now I have larger bib pendants for hexagon, square, and circle. And once again, I think the circle one is my favorite. Like, the overlapping circles and how they play with each other is really fun and not specifically symmetrical. So that one is a favorite of mine. The other 2 are nice, but could use a little bit more work to make a little bit more mature. Okay, we're more than halfway through. Let's keep going. The next 3, this is my amoeba series. So now I started thinking about these in series of 3 and how they're playing with each other. So for this, I have a very organic piece of wood and a less organic piece of acrylic for all 3 of these. And then you can see how the wood starts to wrap in these 3. It's almost like 3 pieces of an animation, and that wood piece is actually consuming the piece of acrylic. So with these, I did find out that how these 2 hang doesn't quite work. So I would need a little bit more, I need a second round of design on that to make sure that these links are in the right place. This one hangs perfectly, and I wear this one all the time. I think it's really fun having those like little circles. It's very organic, and the colors are really nice with that dark royal blue. The next 3 start getting into that combination of very geometric acrylic and organic wood. So these two, you can see that same design from before, that one. Now I'm taking that into a piece of wood, having that as the background, and then having the wood reacting to those geometric pieces. This one is one of my absolute favorites. I love how this looks. The very conciseness of the pearlescent acrylic, and the way that pearlescent acrylic plays against the walnut wood. I love it. I've worn this so much already that I've already like started scratching it up and stuff. But it also allowed me to play with how detailed I can get in those wood cuts, like how small those can get. So that allowed me to start playing with that detail, and you'll see later how I kept playing with that along the way. After these three super complicated ones, these took a long time to draw up. I did a quick series of geometric simplified ones with the square, pentagon, and circle, almost a golden ratio style, but not quite, because this is not actually the golden ratio, but playing with those geometric shapes. The next three are a take on the geometric and the organic reacting to each other, but not overlapping. So it's almost like if these were butting up against each other, how would the organic be reacting to it? For this one, it's very it's just pushing against each other. And this is that nice dark teal again. I really like those two colors, and very large openings here. For this one, this was really fun because for this first prototype, I only connected the two down here, so they're not connected up here. And that allows this tension when you're wearing it as a pendant for this organic piece almost starting to consume and go all the way around this geometric piece. So I enjoy this, but it does need that connection here in order to make it balanced enough. For this orange one, this one is super fun. I went super detailed on those pieces. Look how tiny those pieces of wood are right there. Oof. I was pretty sure that this was gonna break, but it didn't. So, oh my God, look how tiny that is right there. Right there. So I love the delicacy that I got with this piece of wood because it's organic, but it's also delicate. And that was really interesting to see those two combined together. I then took a break from that because once again, those take a lot of work to design and to draw up. And I created these Art Deco pieces. These are pretty big pieces of acrylic, but they have a variety of different geometric pieces to it, and that lays pretty well, and it's super bright and poppy. So this was fun, and I've worn this red one a bit already. And this size is perfect. These kind of really need a statement wardrobe piece to go with, but they really pop on any kind of shirt. Okay, last row. Oh my gosh, I've been talking for so long. Okay, so the next three are sets of earrings with that same kind of Art Deco style and design. For these though, I was trying to see how thin I could get the acrylic without it breaking. And you'll see it's barely touching here with that triangle, and for how thin the actual outlines are. So this was really nice. I love these earrings. I've worn them a bunch already, all three of these. This one's a little bit more blocky, but look how thin this is, but it's still super structural. And where those points line up, I was really happy with how this turned out and kind of pushing the laser cutter to its max. And the same with this. So this is a little bit more symmetrical of triangles compared to that one, but playing with the super thin extra lines around the edges. So I was very happy with how these earrings turned out, and I'm definitely going to be playing more with this style as I move forward past the 100-day project. The next three, this was an experiment. I didn't know how this was going to turn out. These pieces of acrylic are being held almost perfectly by the piece of wood. There is a little bit of glue on the back, and I need to improve how I glue those together. But
they lie flush with the front and it's perfectly aligned. That's really hard to do because with laser cutters, it actually burns some of the material away. So you need to take that into account when you're making things that need to line up perfectly. And that's called kerf, K-E-R-F. So when I was making this, it took a couple trials to get the right size of circle to fit into those cut lines that I had made. But I really like these. These are really fun, very like terrarium style, but with these beautiful bold circles of acrylic. And once again, I love the pearlescent against the walnut. The next three, I went super nerdy. This was pretty close to the end. I had wanted to design these three from the very beginning, but I knew that I had a specific style that I wanted to develop during this project. And this was like a bonus if I had time to kind of dig into this. So what I did with these three Star Wars designs, I drew these up in Illustrator with an engraving layer, a very detailed engraving layer, and a cutting layer. So you'll see, especially right here on the AT or at legs, that engraving layer does a great job of creating that depth. So these are painted with acrylic first, and then I engraved the acrylic off with some of this. So there's a little bit of burn with them. So it's perfect on BB-8. There's just a little bit of burn that gives it some antiquing, and I love this BB-8. I've worn this already. I've worn all three of these. I'm a nerd, so I love it. My Millennium Falcon, I did a little bit of a simplified design for that, but just enough detail that I've got some thick lines and some thin lines, and it's just enough detail that you know what it is without it taking too long to engrave. For my final set of three before my grand finale, I did another round of the geometric acrylic on top of the wood. So I love this one because it looks like a seashell, and a seashell that's grown around a piece of almost trash or plastic so that it grows around it. And that's really what I wanted to do with these cuts, is have that organic reacting to the geometric of this plastic and kind of think about and play with how that plastic is affecting the geometric of the wood. For this one, I started playing with a little slightly curved edges for the acrylic, and I think that adds a nice polish to it, and it also softens the edge a little bit. This one's like a little bit sharp. So with this one, I still can have some big wood pieces, some little wood cutouts as well, and then the acrylic reacting to it. And since it has two places where it's hanging, it's all going to hang very symmetrically when you wear it. And this final one, a little bit more vertical design and a few more actual pieces cut out of wood. I really love this. I've worn it a lot as well. You'll notice the ones that I've worn still have the chain on them. The ones I don't wear as much don't have the chain because I used it to take photographs of the new ones. So this one I still wear, and I really love this royal blue acrylic as well. My favorite acrylics are the royal blue, the turquoise, and that pearlescent here. So for my final design, this is number 100. It stands on its own because it doesn't have another 2 to make that 3 series. For this, I wanted to combine all of my design techniques that I had developed. So my geometric designs, my hanging pieces, my overlapping of those two and how they react to each other, and how the different wood pieces are creating different textures. So for this, I bought some mirrored gold acrylic, and I bought some samples of some glitter acrylic just so I could use them and try them out. And so for this, I also have this extra piece down here of wood that's hanging, and that adds a little bit more movement and flexibility when I'm wearing it. And then you can kind of see how the flow of those pieces that have been cut out go around here. So what's nice about this design is that it keeps your eye moving. So when someone looks at it, it makes the eye flow around it in a different way. And it is very solid, so it works really well on a high-necked dress, but it also has just enough flexibility when I'm wearing it on that dress. So like this piece and these pieces flex a little bit when I'm wearing it, so that it has that movement, but it kind of stands on its own and it's super bold. So I love that as a statement piece, and it really shows how much I've grown and the designs that I've created across the whole 100-day project.
So thank you for watching. I know that was a really long video, but I'm super excited to share all of these designs with you and to really talk about the process that it takes to go from a very simple design to a very complex artistic design through the course of daily practice and a 100-day project. This project really pushed me in different ways to think about how to use materials in different ways, how to play with my laser cutter, and just to use it every day and to find designs that I was really passionate about. So for every design that you see here that I cut, I had 3 or 4 drawings of things that I was thinking about to see where I wanted to go and what kind of style and voice I wanted to have through these designs. And that allowed me to build that artistic style as well. So please subscribe if you are excited about laser cutting, or you want some inspiration about what you can do with a laser cutter, or you just think these designs are fun. I plan on continuing to post videos about more details around how to lay out your laser cutting files, or how to design really complex things and jewelry or artwork that you can laser cut. So how to intricately combine engraving with vector cutting and scoring in order to create complex designs in different ways. So thanks again for watching. Let me know what your favorite designs were. I'm planning on selling a few of these. I won't have all of them on my Etsy store, but let me know what you liked and I might start selling that design. So thanks again for watching. Please subscribe, and you can find me on Instagram as well, @CatherineMakes. Thanks.